Hey guys, and welcome to another Schematics update. This time we want to talk about City Skylines' new expansion Parklife, and for that we invited Jonty. Hey!
Hello, how's it going?
I'm good, thanks, how are you?
Good, thank you. I don't know if you know the song Parklife, but I can't get the song Parklife out of my head whenever somebody says it.
That's actually the same thing Sylph said when we talked about Parklife the first time.
As a Canadian, I had to look up what it was.
Yeah, a big song in the UK. Back in the day, that was.
Jonty, for listeners out there who have no idea who you are, please introduce yourself real quick.
Sure, my name's Jonty. My YouTube channel is called Geekism, and we play simulation games creatively, mostly Planet Coaster, although I have dabbled in City Skylines in the past, and Parklife is drawing me back in, mostly because they've added theme parks. Basically, a game just has to add theme parks, and I'm interested.
Great, and for the recording, it's me at TV. I'm the host of the show today, and you probably know me. If not, you can find my stuff on YouTube, Twitter, and sometimes even Twitch. And I have Blind with me.
Hi, I'm Blind. I stream simulation and management games on twitch.tv/blindIRL, and you can find me at stupidskull.com.
Great, so you guys played a little bit the new DLC. I have to confess I didn't. I planned on playing yesterday and today, but I didn't find the time. I lurked a little bit in Blind stream a couple of times now, and so I have a fair idea, but I won't talk too much about it, but I will ask the questions. And the first question is, what is Parklife and what does it add to the game?
Parklife is the most recent DLC for City Skylines. Obviously, there are two different versions, the normal and then the soundtrack version. Soundtrack just comes with another radio station, essentially, which is country music, if you listen to the radio stations while you're playing. The real meat of the DLC is the parks. So we have 4 different types of parks. We have zoos, city parks, nature parks, and theme parks. Each has its own kind of small zoning area that you can zone into the center of your city and build creatively small little isolated parks that will make you money if you manage them correctly. They all have their own policies. They're pretty cool.
There's a few other bits as well. You get you can set up bus tours now, like tourism bus tours, and also walking tours that have to be sort of on a smaller footprint, and hot air balloon rides as well.
So basically, if I understand you correctly, and what I saw is you're building a small city in a city, which is a park.
Essentially, yeah.
The first question about that is, how does the DLC fit into the rest of the game mechanically?
So one of the features of City Skylines is this zoning system that uses like a painted area, and previously the game has used it to sort of show just kind of areas where different policies can be written and given, so you can sort of have a downtown area, maybe an area a little bit further out that's a bit more well-to-do, that has some nicer things set up with it, and also maybe an area where there's no pollution or whatever. So it uses that feature to actually sort of paint an area on the map that it can now be classed as one of these new parks. And then as far as the game's concerned, all you need to do is place down one of the entrance buildings within this area, and that's where the actual sort of city dwellers go to and walk through. And once they're through this, then it becomes almost a bit of a mini game, to be honest, where they start to go around and sort of appreciate the new features of whichever park it is you built.
In many ways, this DLC is an expansion on the soccer stadium DLCs that they put out a little while ago, alongside of the concert DLCs, which were essentially just a building that you'd place down, and you could set its own, almost like policies. You could sell ticket prices, and then suddenly a huge amount of traffic would show up at a specific time of day, and then you'd have to deal with the traffic congestion as they leave. This is a more freeform version of that. Now, mechanically, as somebody who plays this as a management game, I don't really play cities creatively. I find they feel a little bit too separated. It's kind of the same complaint I've had about the stadiums as well as the concerts. They don't add much to your city as a whole. If anything, they're just simply a distraction. What I will say is it is fun to build them. I've been doing this in cities anyway, so hands down my favorite one is the nature park, because I would always build weird elaborate pathways off in the middle of nowhere anyways and make them go through forests, and every now and again you'd see some sim walking around with a dog or something. But in general, they don't add that much to your city as a whole. I really wish there were more policies surrounding the parks on the outside. I wish that they would cause more traffic congestion. If you do have a popular park, they do fill up a little bit, but there isn't really, at least in the vanilla game, there isn't any parking lots or anything you can place down, and they don't feel that busy. even when you have a fully leveled up park at 5 stars, this is going to sound kind of weird and abstract, but they don't feel alive.
I get that. I only played it briefly, and when I did play it, I started a new map because I just wanted to put the stuff down, and actually sort of have a look at the actual assets. But I made a park and I threw down some residential nearby, and just to try and get a few people walking through. And it was really like nobody came into it, And this was like for a city with maybe a few thousand people in, and I think there was like 2 people in the park. So I don't know whether they're more geared towards tourists coming in. So maybe if you've got a city that's set up for tourism, these might be a little bit more sort of hustle and bustle. But yeah, I definitely get that sort of slight separation, I guess, from the major city. I think the main thing I think this is going to bring for management style players like yourself is, like you say, even if you play it as a management game, you still want it to look nice.
Yes.
And now at least the sort of city parks that you were building that were probably just an empty area with a few of the assets thrown down around it, at least now that whole area can be classed as a park. And like you say, people will move through it. I think the main problem is, from what I can tell, is that park doesn't actually extend much from it. The houses nearby don't seem to change much, depending on the fact that they have this beautiful park next to them, or a theme park next to them. You wouldn't really want to live next to a theme park, I don't think. But it doesn't seem to affect the houses that much if you stick a roller coaster and a Ferris wheel down next to them.
They don't cause much noise pollution, that's for sure.
Okay, I have a question. So you can zone your park areas, basically like the districts before, right? So you can paint as many parks as you want in your city, but there's also a main park.
Essentially, yeah.
Right? So what does it change to have the check mark on, yep,
okay,
this
so
is my
in
main
the
park?
policies next to the park, there is a policy which is main park, and you can have multiple main parks, which I think is a little strange.
Oh, okay.
What it's supposed to do is say this is the one that tourists will be attracted to. So if you have a tourist district, assuming you have the After Dark DLC, that is going to become a zone that tourists will want to go to.
One thing I'm quite impressed with, you're saying about being able to do the districts and stuff, I actually think that's more than I expected, to be honest. I remember we chatted about this a while back when it was announced, and I said that if we are able to give an area that this is a theme park, this is a zoo, and then being able to place individual attractions, as in this is where the lions go, or this is where the Ferris wheel goes, or whatever, that would be above and beyond what I would expect. And that's pretty much what we got. And that's one thing I was really quite impressed with. Like you say, other things we've had that are similar, the stadiums and the concert DLC, and then also other things in the base game that act like this, tourist buildings or whatever. They are literally just a box that goes down. So the fact that they've opened this up to be able to freeform the builds themselves, it really quite impressed me, actually. Just a simple thing, but I think that's probably more than they had to do. I'm glad they've done it, but I think it's probably a bit more than they needed to do, really.
The best thing that this DLC does is it breaks up the time in your city where you'd be sitting there with your city at maximum speed so you can get a whole bunch of money, because they don't cost a lot of money to build, and they're not going to cost you a huge amount of money once they're up and running. So you can kind of leave the game running on normal speed and spend an hour building a park for the center of your city instead of just sitting there staring at your city on maximum speed and waiting to get some more money to go build another freeway.
So basically it's killing the dead time.
That is the best thing that this DLC adds, in my opinion, from the management side.
Next question, what does the DLC add to the game? I mean, we talked a little bit about tourists routes. You can set the bus routes and the walking routes. So what else?
I think one thing that I've noticed mostly with this DLC is that you can really tell that Colossal Order have really embraced the fact that this game is modded to hell. So you can really see that a lot of this DLC is foundations for modders to take. So the theme park, for instance, it comes with one coaster. This ridiculous coaster. I don't even know what it's meant to be, but it comes with this most ridiculous coaster.
I think they designed it in Roller Coaster Tycoon World.
Somebody actually commented on my video saying that awkward moment when City Skylines is a better theme park game than Roller Coaster Tycoon World. But they have this really jank coaster, but you can tell that they've put this in and they've said, no, here is the little bit of code that the game knows is a roller coaster, and I guarantee within a week there'll be 50 coasters on the workshop. So I think one good thing I like about it is that it's given us a nice set of tools and a nice set of foundations for this to really be ran with. and this new sort of on a very sort of not physical level. You've just got this. Here's a way of making an area that guests walk in and do stuff inside and come out again. And I think that sort of base that modders can take is really promising.
I think that this DLC as a base, like just looking at it completely vanilla with no mods added, I don't think it adds much. I think it does speed up the pacing of the game, which is good. I think it gives you another distraction. It's another thing to look at. That's nice. I'm more mixed on this than I thought I would be. I thought I would look at this and be like, yes, this is perfect. I love this. And while playing it, it's fun. It's fun, zooming into your park and plopping down all the little items. And as you mentioned there, it is very creative. You literally get to build your own parks from scratch. And the one neat thing about that is it actually adds to your park's beauty, because the more individual items you place down, the prettier it looks, the better the park's value, the more likely people are to visit it, the faster it levels up, the more money it makes you.
Does it really matter how good the park look in the end, or is it...
It's how many items.
Okay, so basically you can stack piles of flower beds.
Oh yeah. Like in Planet Coaster, when you used to just like stack a billion trees around the line and then it would just work.
Yeah, all those little gold treasure chests, wasn't it? But to be honest with you, Nate, show me a game where it knows what art is, it knows what nice looking thing is, and I'll show you the end of humanity, because that's how you get Terminators. Like that's not nice AI if they can figure that stuff out. So there's always going to be numbers behind it, So the only thing they can kind of do is maybe like diminishing returns for using the same item over and over again, or something like that, which kind of replicates the idea of an opinion. But really, these games, they always come back to the fact that more stuff equals better.
If you're playing it as a management game, it adds to the pacing. If you're playing it as a creative sim, that's another thing that you can mess around with, and it actually functions now, which is cool.
I think that's the big thing for me, because I do, although I don't play this much, when I do play it, I play it creatively, unlimited money, everything unlocked and things like that. And for me, it's the fact that these now do stuff. Like you could build parks before. There were assets already on there for building even theme parks. There are a few assets on there of just sort of static coasters and rides. Now the fact that the peeps or whatever, the city people, whatever they call them, will actually go into them and interact with them. I think that's a big thing. I know, like I say, my main game is Planet Coaster, and for me, that's the kind of stuff I want to see in there as well. I just want more stuff that they will interact with. I just want more stuff that the actual AI will involve themselves with. So for me, for that reason, this is a good DLC.
Okay, so your opinion is clear now. So the thing left is it worth the price they're asking for?
I have the Canadian price here. It's currently 10% off, but the full price is $17.49, and the pre-purchase Parklife Plus, which has the music pack, is $20.49.
So the UK price is $11.39.
And the Euro price is full price is €15.
Yeah, so sounds relatively equal all around.
Yeah.
Is it worth that? I'm not sure it quite is, but I'll be honest with you, I think all of City Skylines DLC is a little overpriced, to be honest with you. I think they'd be better off coming in around the sort of £7-8 mark, under 10 at least. But it's priced around the same as all the others, so if you're happy what you pay for the others, I don't think this has necessarily got less than other DLCs.
I'll say this, I still think Mass Transit is your best value. It's cheaper and it adds more gameplay options. As far as Parklife goes, it's okay. Maybe wait for a sale. It is 10% off currently. Comparatively to the other DLCs, it's still a hell of a lot better than Natural Disasters. So
the only thing I found specifically, I'm going off a little tangent there, that I really don't like is in the parks one, in the sort of natural parks, the sort of national park or nature reserve, whatever you want to call it. You can place tents down that people will come and stay in, and they have to be attached to a path.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's really annoying. Because they shouldn't be. They should just be able. You should be able to put those down in a field somewhere, because tents aren't on paths. But that's just a really specific thing that I found so far that annoyed me. Oh, actually, one more. The zoo. Some of the zoo exhibits have got paths built into them that you have to use.
Oh, yeah,
that's a little funky as well. Yeah, but only some of them do, and some of them don't. So I don't really understand what the design logic was behind that.
That really confused me when I was building.
So I'm guessing that's both things that modder can fix.
I'm not sure about getting rid of the paths on the exhibits.
Yeah.
I don't know how attached they are, but yeah, you can use Move It, of course, but you shouldn't necessarily have to. But no, I don't want to leave on a negative. Overall, I think this is a good DLC. I'm looking forward to getting into it properly. Like I say, I've had a few hours with it. I'm looking forward to sort of now the shininess has gone, and I've just kind of put stuff down and gone, oh look at that, oh look at that. I'm looking forward to actually like trying to integrate it into cities and seeing how we get on with it.
So I think we can wrap this up here. First of all, Jonty, thanks a lot for joining and talking about Cities Parklife with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And for our listeners and viewers, thanks a lot for listening and viewing. If you really enjoyed this video, you may want to consider heading over to Coffee and buy the editor, this time Blind, a coffee, so he can stay up all night editing the video and videos to come in the future. Thanks a lot for listening again. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.